If they haven't reached out to you yet, then I want to tell you why that hasn't happened. Now, there are probably at least a handful of reliable reasons why they might not have reached out to you yet. But let's go over the most common ones that I've seen when it comes to people who are trying to make things work with their partner. Number one is that they feel too much romantic pressure towards working things out with you. And you might be thinking, okay, great, I want them to feel romantic pressure. I mean, the last thing I want is to be put in the friend zone, right? And I mean, first of all, trust me, you're not going to be in the friend zone with your ex. There's no way that they can just forget all of the romantic times that they've had with you, all of the special intimate moments, all that sort of stuff. It can't just be erased. It's burned in there. They're used to responding to you in that visceral, physical, romantic way. I think you know this. And I think it's pretty obvious to anyone who's had a real, legitimate relationship with somebody else. I mean, if you just went on like one date or something like that, then, hey, all bets are off. But, assuming you were actually in a relationship, you kissed, you were intimate, all that sort of stuff, then there's no way that they're not going to be able to feel that romantic connection with you. However, romantic pressure, on the other hand, is something else entirely different. Romantic pressure is when they feel as if there's this pressure for them to decide right now about whether or not the two of you are going to be together or not, about whether or not the two of you are going to commit to one another and try again or not, especially when all that pressure seems to be coming at them right now, or as if this is a decision they're going to have to make very soon. Now, again, I understand you probably want them to make this decision soon. You want them to, you want to know if the two of you are going to be together or if you're not going to be together. You want to have some degree of certainty. But trust me, if they're not ready to make this choice right now, then if you put the pressure on them, or if the pressure is put on them in one form or another from any means, then they're probably going to choose to not be together with you. They're going to choose to not be in a relationship with you, especially in the early stages of reconnecting and figuring out how the two of you are going to relate to one another. You want to actually keep the romantic pressure low. This helps them to feel comfortable interacting with you and helps them to feel as if they don't have to make this decision right now. Because honestly, they're not equipped to make that decision right now. They need to interact with you more first. They need to know that they can get along with you more first. They need to know that the two of you still have all of those positive qualities that brought the two of you together in the first place before they can decide if they want to get together with you or not. It's like if you go out on a first date with somebody that you've never met them before or anything like that. I mean, maybe you met them when you got their phone number or something, but you don't really know them very well. You don't go into that date thinking like, hey, are we going to be together? Are we going to get married? Is this going to be the one? I have to decide right now. You don't do that. Instead, you just say, hey, this person seems attractive and cool. Let me go spend some time with them. Then they think, hey, you also seem attractive and cool. Let's go spend some more time together. And so you do. You spend more time together and you decide that you like each other more. And the more you like each other, the more you get to know each other. The more you get to know each other, the more attracted you are to each other. And before you know it, the two of you start thinking, hey, maybe we should actually be in a relationship with one another. And that's really how it should go when it comes to working things out with your ex as well, too. You want to keep that pressure low for the early times. Trust me, there's a time to put the romantic pressure on, but we have to have a solid foundation to stand on first. And having too much of that romantic pressure could very well be one of the reasons why they're not reaching out to you yet. And I also want to make it clear that a high romantic pressure that they're feeling might be because of things that maybe you've done in the past. You've maybe begged and pleaded. You maybe said, hey, I'll never stop fighting for you. Hey, we're going to be in a relationship with one another. We're going to either be lovers or nothing at all. I'm not willing to settle for anything else in between. Those are things that can definitely increase the romantic pressure. But there's also the possibility that the romantic pressure might not be from anything that you specifically are doing. You might be doing all the things that, I would normally recommend somebody to do. But if just the way that they think about you is too romantic, or if, they have friends in their ears saying like, oh, you're talking to so-and-so. Are the two of you getting back together? Oh, don't you think that that's a bad idea or whatever? Then they're going to be thinking about you in that romantic way anyway. Just know that because they're feeling romantic pressure isn't necessarily because of anything that you are doing. One of the other reasons that they might be feeling as if they're not ready to reach out to you yet is because they don't have a clear idea of how the two of you are supposed to fit into each other's lives. And that this is sort of related. It kind of overlaps a little bit with the romantic pressure thing. But it's also distinct in and of itself as well, too. We don't really have a good framework in our society about how exes can fit harmoniously into each other's lives. If you watch TV, if you hear your friends, if you see movies, if you talk to people and read tabloids and stuff like that, you probably get the sense that your ex is someone that you're supposed to hate their guts. You're supposed to have this horrible knockdown, drag out kind of hostile relationship with them. That can obviously be something that's true, especially if there's a lot of drama, a lot of hurt feelings, betrayal, etc. But if you didn't do anything like that, if you didn't do anything horrible to one another, there's not a clear path, societally speaking, that a lot of people can find on their own about how you can get along together with your ex. And so that often does lead to a lot of heightened romantic pressure. But if they don't know how they can fit into your life and you into their life, they might be a little bit afraid to kind of open that door. They don't necessarily know what you want. Maybe they don't even know what they want themselves. Maybe they don't understand what it's like to have this sort of low pressure, not honestly not well defined relationship with one another. It's not really clear. Are the two of you going to be friends? Are the two of you going to be lovers? Are you still figuring it out? It's not really very clear. One thing that you can do is to just set the tone that it's okay for the two of you to not know how you're supposed to fit into each other's lives right now. And this can also help to reduce the romantic pressure as well, too. Another reason that they might not be reaching out yet is because you and them have sort of gone into this mode of game playing with one another. It's really common after a breakup for two exes to think that they need to play games with one another. Oh, who is moving on first? Who seems like they're still stuck up on the other one? Who is having a hard time? Who is dating someone else first? And, people often have this sort of power trip or fantasies of grandeur or fantasies of superiority or something where it's like, hey, wouldn't it be great if my ex missed me so much that they begged for me to take them back. They came crawling back over broken shards of glass to me or something like that. Whether or not they actually want to get back together with you, people use it as a fantasy of vindication that maybe they were right in, their stance on the breakup or their stance on the relationship or their stance on how, they were done wrong or something like that. Many times people, legitimately do end up playing games with one another. Admittedly so, there's also this very common thing that most people have heard about called the no contact rule. Even if you don't want to get back together with your ex, you've probably heard about the no contact rule. If you're not trying to get back together with your ex, they say use the no contact rule to not contact them until you've moved on, and then continue to not contact them, and then live this happy, peaceful life. And so many times people will use no contact as a form of a game. Hey, let me see if I can not contact you until you break under the pressure and come crawling back over broken shards of glass. I know that many of you watching this may have thought that you need to use no contact until your ex contacts you. You're not in good terms with them, and so you heard some goofball on YouTube say, hey, just do no contact until they crack under the pressure and come crawling back to you. It works 100% of the time, except it doesn't. It does not work 100% of the time. Your ex is not guaranteed to reach out to you if you just do no contact. How do I know this? Because I've talked to hundreds, maybe even thousands of people at this point in my career who have tried advice like that, and it just has flat out not worked. And so what happens at that point? Well, we need to get real, and we need to find out something that actually does work. And we have to sidestep around this game playing that many of you are honestly doing with your exes, but also your exes are doing with you as well too. And one way to do that as well is to use the same team conversation to just get it all out in the open, say we're not willing to play that game of game playing, and to set the stage for actually having good communication with one another. Communication that's based on honesty, transparency, and genuinely trying to figure out how we fit into each other's lives in a mindful, responsible, and compassionate sort of way. That's definitely one of the reasons why they might not have reached out to you yet. By the way, if you're liking this video, it'd help me out a lot immensely if you'd hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to this channel. As you may or may not know, I'm kind of picking up this channel again after letting it slide for a while I dealt with the death of my mother and the death of my sister-in-law and the death of my aunt last year. So if you could help a guy out, help me revive my channel by hitting the thumbs up button, subscribing, dropping a comment down below, etc. That really helped me out a lot. Probably one of the biggest reasons why your ex isn't reaching out, aside from what we've already talked about, is that there's unresolved business that they are hanging on to. They're holding on to hurt. They're holding on to pain. They're holding on to hurt feelings and emotions and upset and anger from, something that happened. Maybe you hurt their feelings. Maybe there was some misunderstanding. Maybe they think you did something intentionally to hurt them, but it was really an accident. Well, maybe you did do something intentionally. And since then you've grown and you've realized, hey, that was not cool. I don't want to be that kind of person. You got to address the elephant in the room if you want them to legitimately move on and get past that. A lot of times people will say, hey, just reach out real casually, send them a message about the good old days or something like that. And they'll miss you so much that they'll want to get back together with you. They'll meet up with you for coffee. And by the end of the coffee date, because, you're so good at mind games and all that sort of stuff, you've convinced them that you're high value. They'll beg for you back. That sounds nice in theory, but that's not how it happens in actual practice, like 99 times out of 100. If they're still hung up on hurt, on the past, and that hasn't been cleared up, you just sort of waltzing back into their life as if nothing happened without addressing their hurt feelings is not going to land well. They're not going to respond well to it. It'd be like if, someone were to punch you in the face or something like that. You'd probably not be very fond of that person. And then if that person came by, the next week and said, hey, do you remember that good old time that we had when, we were at so-and-so's party and we were all laughing really good? Like, you would still not be able to let it go, most likely, because they never addressed the fact that they punched you in the face. And so in the same way, you have to address your ex's emotions. You have to address how they're feeling towards you. Again, I don't know the specifics about what happened, why the breakup happened. I don't know if it was your fault. I don't know if it was a misunderstanding. I don't know what happened. But if they are holding on to hurt or pain or sadness or something that they are perhaps blaming you for, and you don't even address it, there's very little chance they're going to be able to get past it, no matter how much you talk about the good old days or how much you embody the traits of an alpha male or the most, tempting seductress in the world or anything like that. You're not going to be able to do it until you address the emotions that they are feeling, because intimacy grows through trust. Intimacy grows through saying like, hey, this is someone that I can trust with my emotions. This is someone that I can trust with how I feel. And if we're not cool, then we can at least work it out. If you can't at least have that baseline, then I'm sorry, but there's no real legitimate relationship that's going to form there that's in any way going to be anything worth striving for. Those are probably the main reasons why your ex hasn't reached out yet. And one thing I want to make clear is I don't want you to just be waiting and waiting and waiting for them to reach out to you. The main advice that you've probably heard me say on this channel and hopefully in this video is that you play an active role in all of this, and that you should be taking steps to try to make efforts to be in contact with them, to clear things up with them, to set the stage for how the two of you can relate with one another and interact with one another. I know that there's a lot of popular advice out there that says, hey, you don't have to do anything. You can just ignore your ex, use no contact, wait for them to come crawling back over broken shards of glass. And that kind of advice, I understand why it can be pretty popular, because it doesn't require you to stick your neck out. It doesn't require you to take responsibility for things. It doesn't require you to perhaps clean up things in the past. In fact, all it asks of you is to be passive. But you already know that being passive isn't going to take you to a great relationship. I mean, let's be honest. Probably 9 out of 10 of you watching this video are going through this breakup situation because you were passive in your relationship in some way. You let things slip. You didn't have your priorities right. You didn't spend quality time with one another. You didn't let them know that you really cared. And what happened? They got tired of waiting around and decided to do something else and leave. And, we got to get real here. If that's what caused the problem, do you think essentially doing the same thing is going to show them anything different, anything compelling that's going to make them want to try again? Chances are, no, it's not. So you got to be willing to try something different. And that being said, if you want to know what I would actually recommend for getting back together with your ex, please check out this video right over here that covers the basic plan on how I'd recommend that you do that.